And we're back. Day 116 of the winter cut, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Because when I decided to be a powerlifter, I was 180 pounds. And after 2 years of watching Fat Mark Bell on YouTube and reading every single Dave article on how you need to get big in order to lift big, I ended up north of 300. Since then, I've gotten leaner a couple times, but I've never managed to get leaner than this. And I want to say it's an issue of not knowing how, but it's not a knowledge issue. I know that I need to sustain a deficit. I know that I need to eat less and move more, but I don't have the experience to navigate that while pushing beyond this point.
And if I'm running a face pull for carryover back to powerlifting, one of my goals is to get better at locking in my upper back on squats. So I'm gonna make sure I'm rounding into thoracic flexion on the way down, then pulling back into thoracic extension, making sure my head is packed. Anyways, we're moving on to the first real lift of the day now, which is this machine that I am growing oh so more and more progressively fond of because the strength curve is just phenomenal. We'll go up.
And if your training is stuck right now or you don't know how to reach the next level in powerlifting, my favorite thing on earth is giving the lifters in the team the one-on-one feedback that they need so that they know exactly what to do with their programming, where to go with their technique, and what intent to bring to the gym. Because if we can figure those things out, you're going to unlock progress like never before, just like that. Only got a few spots left at the current rate, so hit that link below and sign up now to lock in some savings.
A little bit more aggressive than first work set last week, but I feel a little bit better, so let's crank.
And making mistakes, running into walls, learning by trial and error, that's exactly how I got to where I am in powerlifting. But this diet is different because my goals require that I get this right, and I don't have any time to waste trying to figure out how to do that.
Full stack next, for sure. And the reason I have this day that is pretty high priority on delts is for years and years and years, I really didn't train my delts all that much because number one, I was listening to people that said that overhead work would trash your shoulders. And when I started powerlifting, my shoulders were already trashed. So I was just like, I'm gonna avoid this shit because I don't need it. I don't wanna make my shoulders worse. But what ended up happening is I developed a massive discrepancy with how weak my delts were compared to everything else. So right now we are putting some high priority on fixing that problem. So once again, we're gonna crank.
Because as much as powerlifting and dieting are the same in that you can't push either to the absolute limit and be able to sustain it, I figured out where that point is with my training, but I clearly haven't nutrition wise.
And trying to be smart, so we're leaving a little bit in the tank here because we got a whole lot more stuff to do this session. And if I burn myself on the first exercise, the second and third and fourth and fifth don't end up being very fun.
And one of those strategies that I've learned to manage my training in powerlifting is that if I have a body part that tends to get sensitive, like my shoulders that I had multiple surgeries on before I even started training, and my pec that I ripped off 2 years ago, if I can train those body parts with a therapeutic intent, asking myself to control my way through the range of motion where the vulnerability exists, I can make them feel way better. And one of my favorite ways to do that is with dips, because if my shoulders suck, dips suck. But if I can get dips to do better, my shoulders start sucking less.
Once again, super stoked with how good the dips are feeling on the pec and shoulders. What I was doing today that's a little bit different is, I don't know how apparent it was on the camera, but I was really like trying to let my elbows go backwards so I get a little bit more elbow flexion relative to the amount of shoulder extension I had, and it felt spicy on the triceps. But it's about to get a little bit spicier because we are back on this bullshit piece of tricep extension machine. And to be fair, only calling the machine bullshit because Darrell beat me on it last week, and I really don't like getting beat by him on anything triceps related. But maybe like 1 week of doing it might feel better here than last week, so we'll go up. Still got to figure out how to get out of it without smacking myself in the back with the handle, though. And with how hard this machine was last week, plan here is to build up to one top set and really try to crank the loading. And this sucked last week, so let's crank. Yeah, definitely a skill issue last week because this is much improved. And I don't know, maybe it was fatigue last week too, but we're giving 2 a run. Okay, plan here, solid 4 to 6, as long as it doesn't feel like I'm actually gonna die. Which might be a big ask based on how this feels right here. Got it up. That's what she said. And I think we're going to be smart because that was much better than last week. Also, a little bit annoyed that I did sacrifice range of motion there. But again, considering I couldn't even get that off the rack last week, I'm okay with it. You just got to put the time in to get better at it, which is what we're trying to do with this stupidly heavy pec deck. Another therapeutic slot in this session because again, I don't really want to push my pecs super hard load wise today since that is the other day. So we're just trying to get a really nice stretchy stretch and squeezy squeeze while still working hard. I wish that set wasn't so hard for what's on the machine though. Still haven't gotten better at putting it down nicely. I guess that's what set 2 is for though.
So, what am I doing about not knowing how to push this diet further? Well, I asked for help. I hired a coach, someone that's been there and done it themselves, but also helped others do it to a higher level. Someone that knows what is necessary and knows what isn't. And it's that knowledge that I am going to trust to figure out how to finish this job. Who'd I hire? Justin Harris, because I like how he thinks, I like how he works, and I really like seeing what he's done with Cole, which kind of terrifies me, but also makes me very excited.
Almost forgot to set it down nice, but remembered at the very last second. Because I mean, we gotta make sure that we don't get kicked out of the gym before it's even open. But now that the pushy stuff's over, we're gonna move on to some lattage. Also, on that note, running this thing yesterday, my back is sore in ways that it never has been before. So, satisfied customer. And my plan for the lat slot was to run that pullover machine so I could say it's time to buckle up, kids, because, you know, there's the seatbelt on it, but there's been 3 dudes working on her for like 15 minutes, and I really don't want to try to work in with them and vlog, so we're going to settle for some pull downs, I guess. This cable tower feels really smooth though, so it ain't the end of the world. But we gotta go up because it isn't very heavy, and I just wanted to run a warm-up set because I was hoping if I waited long enough that those guys would be done, but they're still going. So we're cold, but we're getting less cold. I think we can go full stack. Update, the machine is still just being sat on and crowded, so we're definitely doing top set here. And goal is to try to make it not too shitty. Hopefully that was acceptable. And for today's torso slot, I wanted to run side bends, but I also want to be lazy, so I'm going to see if I can get a decent feel on this cable. And it's decent enough. Probably not perfect, but I absolutely died on the Smith machine last week, so doing something that isn't going to kill me might be a good idea. And like, I'm almost wondering if how shitty the brace felt on the Saturday squats was a result of cooking it so hard on the Smith. So yeah, we're doing something a little bit lighter, but still working freaking hard. And I don't know how apparent it is on the video, but I am really like trying to push off of my hips and get like hip oblique working together, because I really do want them to work together when they're actually working, you know? This would probably work better too if I could have like a lower cable and be more over top of it, but again, not too worried about it being perfect right now. And did another set there. I just didn't film it. I swear it happened. But I am freaking excited to get rolling with Justin. And the whole reason that I decided to hire him to finish this cutout and then handle the rebound as well and probably handle the whole way to the meet and beyond is that what I'm trying to do right now, I have never done it before. And the last time I was this lean in Florida, I thought I was as lean as I could get. I didn't know how to get leaner, and I just kind of gave up on it and gave up on pushing because the thought of pushing further scared the shit out of me, and I didn't want to screw it up and I didn't want to do it wrong. But right now, I also recognize that there is so much further that can be pushed, and I still don't really know how to do it. I don't know what levers to pull. I don't know what to do to get me there. So having someone else take the reins is going to kind of take it out of my hands so I can just focus on doing the job versus trying to figure out what the job is while I'm doing it. And the whole hiring Justin thing, like, I was motivated by fear for two reasons. And like, the first is like the thought of potentially screwing this up and ruining the plan when I have put this much effort into it so far. Like, that scares the shit out of me. But what scares me even more is that Justin is probably going to ask me to do things that I have never done before in order to get somewhere that I've never been. And the fact that I'm going to have to do things that I've never done before, it's very, very, very frightening. But I think when I was thinking about it this morning, when I was pulling the trigger on it, it's like, if the idea of having someone push me is that scary, I probably need to do it because I know what's going to be necessary to get where I need to go. So we're going full steam ahead. Should have the diet plan tomorrow to get rolling on it. And yeah, like I said, I am just freaking excited. And I think the final point is that if you are trying to do something new, if you're trying to push yourself further, if you're trying to achieve something that you haven't achieved before and you don't know what to do, like, there's no shame in asking for help, because it's like, knowledge wise, I do have the knowledge necessary to diet. I know how to pull calories out. I just don't know how to pull calories out. And I think it's like that unknown, that lack of experience. That's why I need help. That's why I want help. That's why I'm getting help. And on that note, if you guys do need help with anything powerlifting, like, I got that shit dialed. So hit link below, join the team, because I want to be able to give you the one-on-one feedback on an everyday basis, not a single day basis. I don't know why I said single day, on an everyday basis, so you can figure out what exactly it is that you need to be doing to get better. Peace out. Have a good rest of your night. I kind of totally kerfuffled the end of that, but I'm just leaving it because I think the first like 7/8 of it was good. So yeah, bye.
Bye.